Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to continue to talk about dichotomous keys and practice using them, as well as starting to learn some of the vocabulary that is commonly used on the STAR test and that you'll be seeing on our common assessments. So we are in the third 9 weeks, week 17, and today is Tuesday. So for today, we are going to go through the notes. Then you must complete this one question, and it's about a dichotomous key. And then you must also answer this one discussion question as well. So let's go ahead and look at our notes. So we're starting sort of a new part of our notebook, the dichotomous key, and I will add the page of notes to the master copy, and I'll show you that before we move on later. So this is where you will be writing in your notes for dichotomous keys. And there is Article 711. As we said yesterday, you're expected to examine organisms and their structure, like how they look, of insects and leaves, and use dichotomous keys for identification. So it says a dichotomous key is a tool that scientists can use to identify an unknown organism or specimen. And I say specimen because we can use dichotomous keys for all kinds of stuff. For insects, shells, rocks, trees, pretty much any kind of organism on Earth, or was an organism at some point, or even things that were never non-living like these rocks. We can use the dichotomous key to figure out what kind of rock or what kind of tree that may be. And I mentioned yesterday that prefix di means two, but the word dichotomous means divided in two parts. And if you remember our practice yesterday, we saw how every time we went to a new number, you had a choice of two answers, A or B. So it's made up of two statements that describe the characteristics, what that specimen looks like. And so you're making these observations. You're looking at the specimen and then you're choosing one of the answers. It says the user is given two choices. As the user makes a choice, they're led to a new branch of the key. So it's going to be, does it have feathers or doesn't have feathers? So you're given two choices. You pick whichever is correct for the specimen that you're observing. So here's an example. The user's given two choices, and in this case, they did number them A and B, which makes it easier. So every step, depending on here, it says if you're hard candy, you're going to go all the way down to 7. But even at 7, you're given two choices. So it says you are done when you end up at the scientific name of the species. So when you see something that looks like this, and we know it's a scientific name because we see the first word is capitalized, the second is not, you're done. All the clues led you up to that. There's no more instructions to go to another number. You know you're done. You have found the scientific name of the organism or object that you're looking for. So as I mentioned as well, we know because over here we see in our teak, it specifically talks about insects and leaves, that is how you will see the question on STAR. Our experience has been there are only questions about bugs and leaves. So you have to know what that vocabulary looks like or sounds like. So on page, I'll have to look up what the page is. On the next page to this, I want you to go ahead and draw these in, and you'll be using them to go back to as reference to answer questions as well as test questions. So the first one we're starting right here is what we see, just kind of a simple leaf. And it's called simple because there's only one stem and one leaf attached to that stem. So this leaf is called a simple leaf. As opposed to this next set of drawings, these are called compound leaves because you have one stem, but you have many leaves attached to that one stem. And they can either be attached like from another little stem, or the leaves are just directly attached to that one stem. So simple, one leaf, one stem; compound, one stem, lots of leaves. Another word you're going to have to know is this word radiate. And the word radiate means to spread from a center point. So you see, here's the center point, and all the arrows come out from that center point. We're going to see some leaves, and this is an example of radiate right here, where the leaves all come out from this one point where they all attached. So get that into your notebook. Here's some real life examples of this. We have one stem, one leaf. Compound, one stem, many leaves. And these are leaves. These skinny little things are leaves. And here's an example of radiate. Again, to spread from a center point. That's the center point, and you can see all the arrows point outward. That's the word radiate. And we're going to add two more pieces to our notes down at the bottom. And the first one is needles. And it's just as the name implies. Think of a needle that you sew with. They're long and skinny and smooth. Some trees, like Christmas trees, have their leaves are needle leaves. We have other sort of pine trees that they have long sort of needle leaves, but on top of it, you can see they have these scales. It's not smooth. These are going to be smooth. These are called scales. They're like a bunch of little leaves all growing together on this one leaf. Okay, so scales. And think about it. That sort of does look like the scales on a fish or on a snake. So we have simple, compound, radiate, needles, and scales. And let's look at some real life examples of needles. Again, this is perfect, like a Christmas tree that some of you might have had. My fake Christmas tree is just like this. They're long and thin, and I would say smooth. Here we have trees that have scales, and you can see even from this picture, if you zoom in a little bit, that it looks bumpy. It doesn't look smooth. And if we go close up, you can see how there are a bunch of little leaves growing all together. And that is the end of our notes today. Make sure you get that into your notebook. And as I go back to today's lessons, you also have a question here that you need to answer. Take care of that. And in addition, let me go back and see, you have the graded discussion. So you have the notes, which we just completed, the dichotomous key, leaf 1. So you're going to use your notes that we just did for this first leaf. And then there's a graded discussion question that you will probably also use the notes that I just reviewed. And that's all I have today. Y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.